episode 4 of the Run The Tibby podcast. Today, we are joined by the one and only, no introduction, but I'm going to give him one, Andre, the Puerto Rican pride, Curbelo, we have with us. This ain't really going to be an interview or anything like that, but I want to start off by asking Andre a question. And first, let's talk about at Run The Tibby podcast. We got a lot of upgrades going on. We got microphones. We are taking it up a level. This is what we do. But now, most important question for you, Andre. I think a lot of people are wondering this. The first time Harry worked you out, you guys worked on the scissor step. How crucial, how important was implementing the scissor step into your game? And what did it change for you on the basketball court? Were you able to see more opportunities because you had a scissor step? And also, one other question, if you guys worked on the dig step, do you think you'd be a better basketball player as opposed to the scissor step?
So for the first one, it definitely helped a lot. And just because you just get, you get a little more time to freeze your defender and stuff like that. And then you get to see other options. But, I don't want to give him a lot of credit because I don't think he's a good trainer. I think he's just terrible. Talks too much, shows too much videos and stuff like that. But, I appreciate him for that. Harry, appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely, bro.
Tibbs, how do you feel about that? Scissor step, crucial part in
scissor
Andre
step
Curbelo.
validation. Scissor step validation. Episode 4.
I think he would have gave you more credit if you would have told him to dig step. So it's
True.
crazy. You have Dre on here on record saying you're a bad trainer, and I love it already. I like this energy already.
All right, so Diaz, get into what the actual episode is about now.
So the actual episode is going to be the logical, insane people arguing that multi-sport is more important than specialization. Here we have, last episode we talked about my fundamental, which was footwork with a soccer foundation. Now, the soccer foundation part is very important. Stop giggling. The soccer foundation.
Who are you talking to?
He thinks he's talking to me, but I'm waiting for him to get to his point. And he thinks I have a certain stance on this because his draft pick was terrible. But go ahead.
So Dre commented on the post, and he said that playing soccer helped him. Here's my thing. How you gonna tell somebody what got them better? How you going to tell them? How you going to comment on that TJ Tibbs? How you going to comment on that post and be like, nah, bro, like soccer didn't do it for you. It was basketball did it for you.
So that we were talking about it, and it's not like it did help me like a lot, and like it made me like the greatest basketball player. But what I was trying to say on the comments is that it does help a little bit. Like it helps your footwork and it helps, your stamina, your conditioning and stuff like that. Like it's not only about your footwork, but all the things. And that's the reason, that's the only reason I played it. Just because I know I can get in better shape, running on a huge field to going to a small court, 94 feet, running up and down will be, much easier.
Wow. So you played soccer intentionally to get better at basketball.
Yes, like in some way that was part of the reason. Like,
okay, hold on.
Wait. My fault, Tibbs. Before we even continue, and Andre, we spoke about this because we want to knit this stereotype out the way. Just because Andre is a foreign basketball player and played for the world team at the Hoop Summit, this is the only interview type question we have. What is your order in terms of sports that you played in your life? Because I think everyone thinks that you are good at basketball because you grew up playing soccer.
Nah. I started playing baseball, and then I kind of got bored because I was a kid. Like I was a little kid.
No, because it's boring. Yes.
I mean, it is, but
boring.
I feel like it is more boring when when you're just a little kid. People don't really be hitting the ball like that. So I said, all right, let's switch to basketball. It's more active. And then when I got to, school and stuff like that, that's where I only play soccer at, pretty much just in like school. That's about it. I was never like a travel team soccer player. It was just for fun in high school.
So here's my point of view. Diaz, is it Diaz? Here's my point of view. I agree wholeheartedly with what Dre's saying. Wholeheartedly. As somebody many moons ago who played soccer as well in high school, I agree with everything he said. Conditioning, and now the court is way smaller than the field, and some of the footwork stuff you do. I agree. Where I highly disagree with you, Steven, is the fact and the implication, the nerve that you have to say somebody like Andre Curbelo is good with footwork and in the game of basketball because he played soccer. And here is my point. You have, obviously, soccer is a game of the feet, right? Everything is with the feet, unless you're a goalie. But are you going to tell me if he played defensive back on the football team, it's not going to have the same type of impact besides the condition?
It won't be on the footwork, but I feel like on the defensive side of basketball will help a lot because you don't really be going up to people like to kick the ball out of their feet. You just, you got to slide, drop, push. So I feel like on the defense, like I feel like every position on the soccer, like on the sport, like helps somehow in basketball, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like my position helps me pretty much with everything because my coach will always he always wanted me to play, defense, drop to at least midfield and chase the ball around. So it helps with my conditioning. Plus I'm running to score a lot. But on the defensive side, you got to slide. You can't just go up to people and just slide or foul them or something. So it also, like playing soccer defensively also helps you to not, I feel like in basketball you'll reach no matter what. But since in soccer you don't use your hands as much, on the defensive, offensive side, talking about the defensive side now, you'll be able to slide faster, drop faster, contest faster, just because you're used to it, going side to side, dropping back, and going up, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
And I want to say this. I don't know anybody on Illinois' soccer team. I've never heard of them ever. All respect to them. Let's assume they're number one in the country. You versus the best footwork person on Illinois' soccer team, one-on-one in basketball. What score? Game 11.
That's not what we arguing.
That's not the point. That's not the point.
Hold on.
That's not what we arguing.
You versus Andre Curbelo on Illinois soccer.
We're not saying that a Division I soccer player is gonna lock up a Division I basketball player.
So how about this though? So Dre, if you didn't play soccer,
this is Tibbs. Wait, this is Tibbs. Wait. Tibbs. Yo, soccer doesn't help you get better at basketball.
I didn't say that.
A Division I basketball player. Yo, soccer really helped me a lot. Tibbs, nah.
He didn't say a lot. He didn't say a lot.
Soccer didn't make me who I am on the court, but which I'm not taking Tibbs or Diaz's side, but I'm saying I'm 50-50. It helps.
I know.
But it doesn't make
Dre,
you
you're
the
51
basketball player.
You're 51-49.
Hold on. No. So here's the thing Tibbs is doing, right? Like, obviously, and all four of us, our main sport is basketball. Let's say, hypothetically, Andre played soccer first, and then he picked up basketball. He doesn't just, or anybody, you don't just build your identity as a basketball player. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to transfer everything from soccer. It's two completely different sports. That's not the point we're making. The point we're making is that one thing can help the other. It's not like, oh, yeah, if you just put a good soccer player on the court, he's going to know how to run a pick and roll. Like, that's not the point.
Yo, guys, I used to play the guitar, and this action right here has helped me as a coach with my play calls. Because, yes. So my zipper play calls are so efficient because my whole entire life I've been doing this. And when I need to go to zipper, I just go like that. And it's just they just know what it is.
Yo, guess what?
Get to the zipper.
That makes sense. And
It
I agree,
does.
and
Yeah,
I believe that.
By your standards, it
No,
does make
it
sense.
makes
You know
sense,
what
and I
doesn't make
believe that.
sense for everybody watching is that Mans has headphones not in his ears. Mans has headphones hanging outside of his ears.
You know why? Because I want to make sure I don't scream like you're screaming.
Who's screaming?
All right?
My mic is just better than yours.
Mad loud. No, it's not.
Let's transition a little bit. So the whole point is we're trying to see, is specialization a thing? Like, is it better to play multiple sports, or is it better to specialize?
100%. I feel all right. So I feel like there's pros and cons, like everything in life. But if you play multiple sports outside of your main sport, I feel like you'll probably be a better athlete in some ways than your opponent, if that makes sense.
Yo, why are you
Because
scared? Why are you scared to talk this shit to Tibbs? Talk this shit, bro.
No, and here I come.
Talk
so
your
like
shit.
Playing
And here I
my
come.
example, my example, like soccer, and it's the perfect one because Diaz was talking about soccer on the last episode. So obviously in the field, it's a big field, whatever. In my position, I got to be able to know where to run, when the ball is gonna get kicked to me, because if I'm offside and the ball is being kicked to me, I'm not gonna be able, you can't do that. It's an offside, the other team gets the ball. So what? Your IQ gets better right there because you're seeing the ball, they're touching in the bag and stuff like that. And you gotta be thinking all the time, consistently, all right, if they're gonna kick the ball to me, I gotta be on side. So I gotta know, because the way I play, I'm always offside. Always. But the fact that I know when they're gonna kick it to me, that's when I get onside, and then I go. So from offside, I go to onside, and then I go by my defender, depending on where the ball is, if that makes sense. So that's one thing right there. It helps with your IQ. And then, like Diaz was saying, just say footwork and all that comes in the package as well. So I think, as just and it's not because I do it and I did it, but I feel like playing different sports. Obviously, not too many because in Puerto Rico I did that. I played. I didn't play. I ran track, cross country, played volleyball, soccer, basketball, played chess, ping pong. I did everything. And I feel like that's why I'm really good at basketball, because you don't really be thinking about it, but soccer again, footwork and all that, stamina and all that stuff. But then you go to play chess, you gotta be, you're always thinking. That's another thing that helps with basketball, patience and stuff like that. Ping pong, you're consistently active, stuff like that.
Boom,
Track,
boom,
you're
boom.
always running. Yeah, track, you're always running. Helps with your stamina as well and your conditioning. So I feel like playing multiple sports will somehow help with your main sport, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it's hard to what you're saying. Like, it's going to be hard to correlate one particular aspect that will directly translate to basketball.
Yep.
But one thing that is without a doubt important and will happen is your improvement as an athlete, your improvement in hand-eye coordination, your improvement in just being in the moment of some intense competition and being able to compose, like, mentally and figure out how you're gonna react.
And it's not, and I think you was the one that said it, Harry. I think you said, playing soccer is not gonna help you be a better player on a ball screen. So that's what I was trying to say. Like, it's not gonna help you in a specific thing. It's just gonna be in a small detail of your main sport.
Yeah. So to me, I don't disagree. Why you guys assume that I'm against multi-sports? I'm not. You're talking to somebody who played 5 sports growing up. I'm not against playing multi-sports. I'm not. I'm against Diaz and his reasoning.
Perspective.
Yeah, his perspective on this topic. You're not going to get me to disagree with playing multiple sports. Here's my reasons why, okay? From my experience, I played basketball, baseball, football, soccer, and I ran track. I did all these things in high school as well. The one main thing, and especially you see so many kids and parents thinking that they have to specialize their kids early. And with specialization, the definition being the process of concentrating on and becoming an expert in a particular subject or skill. That's literally the definition. right? And early sports specialization is a thing. But from my experience, the number one thing that has helped me with is my exposure to different coaches and different types of coaches, right? So in baseball, you generally have your laid back guys. There's not as much coaching during the game. There's more strategy. Once the game goes, there's not as much boom, 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 do this, do that. We're going to do this. There's not as much as that. In football, you got a lot of your yellers, your motivators, maybe even your crazy guys. I know I was coached by somebody, James Mahaney, a guy that I still speak to now, that it'd be 10 degrees outside. He's got shorts on. And we're all bundled up crazy, but it gave us a mental edge. Like he's out there and in shorts, it's freezing cold. And he kept telling us, it's not cold, it's not cold. Got us to laugh about things. You know, the coach football, you have a lot of those guys that are in your face, you know, from 9 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old. It's a physical sport. You know, like I said before, baseball is a thinking game, especially I pitched, I caught. So every single pitch you have to think. You have to think ahead. You have to figure out how did the batter react to this last pitch? How did he react 2 at-bats ago to this? You're constantly thinking. You learn how to sacrifice. There's literally something in the game. You don't see it that much because everything is a home run or nothing, but there's literally a stat in the game for you sacrificing yourself to give yourself up for the next guy. In basketball, then the reason why I loved it and I went to it was because it increased my creativity. Your expression on the basketball court, like every game is different. Every play is different. You can really be super creative. You can't really be creative on a baseball field. You know, you got to sit there, you got to hit the ball, you got to catch the ball. And also basketball is just, and especially in culture, is just swagger. There's just all this swagger and this confidence that can be developed in the game of basketball by learning about yourself.
We're gonna talk about that.
You know, learning about yourself and all those things. So
wait,
and also,
how do you develop that as a coach?
Confidence?
Yeah.
Oh man, we'd be here all day. This would be a 3-part episode. But to me,
real quick though, just
real quick. To me, with confidence is everybody, regardless of how good you think you are and how good you carry yourself. And I coach you, Dre, and you're extremely confident player based on how you carry yourself and also the results. More times than not, you're gonna have good games on the basketball court. But there's always a time where you're not gonna play well, whether it's a string in the game or it's a couple of games, consecutive games, whatever the case may be, maybe not shooting well or whatever. And the role of the coach in that is I'm not giving you confidence because it's there in you in that moment. Andre Curbelo has confidence. But my role right there is to put all these positive affirmations in your head. Yo, Dre, it doesn't matter if your shot's not falling. Ain't nobody could guard you out there. Yo, keep letting that fly. You put in the work, right? You put in the shots, right? All that stuff is still there. Let that go. I believe in you. You could keep going. You could go 0 for 10. You go 0 for 15. Keep shooting. Go ahead, jump in.
Mind if I jump in right here?
Go ahead, jump in. The water's warm.
Dre, let me ask you. You're one of the most confident basketball players I think I've ever seen on the court. Literally nutmeg kids on Sierra Canyon on national TV and dancing and skipping up and down the court as you're killing them. Hearing those things that Tibbs was talking about from a coach, are those the type of things that gave you confidence, or do you think you were a confident kid from the jump? Because I recall watching you play as a freshman coming in.
I recall watching you play as a freshman, and I remember that. Go ahead.
That's what it sounds like when you're losing an argument. Go ahead.
No. I can't
really
wait
does, right?
Because you think you're building up all this history. I remember when you were 14, and I remember you were doing the same things. But go ahead. I'm gonna wait for Dre's answer. Go ahead.
Nobody thinks
you. Go ahead. And you pre-ordered. Can we get to the fact that you pre-ordered a Kyrie Irving Nets jersey that literally just came out? Undershirt is not fire.
This jersey's fire.
Well, go ahead. Go.
Undershirt is Casey Musgraves.
Go ahead.
Casey Musgraves.
Go ahead with your point.
The point is, I watched Andre Curbelo as a 14-year-old get in garbage time when Lehigh was beating God knows what team, Cardozo, I think. Cardozo by 30. And, you know, he was the most exciting player on the court, throwing behind the back passes. As of what are you doing? as a
waiting for your
freshman,
point.
even during his garbage time, even though he didn't play for majority of the game, playing at the end of the game, was still had that same type of confidence and swagger. So Dre, question is, hearing those affirmations from a coach, is that what developed your confidence, or did you have it naturally?
I think so. I don't. I feel like right now, using me an example in this is probably not as good, just because I feel like it's naturally in me. But also, I think a good example, which I don't know if I'll be making much sense, but tips you can tell me, because it's with your point and with what you said. So as everybody knows, I'm not the greatest shooter now. Like, I'll shoot it, I'll make one or two, but it's not like my game is step back, boom, in your face. It ain't like that. Not no more. In Puerto Rico, it used to be like that. I would, go crazy, 25, 30 points game every night, every day. So coming here, tips, you can tell me, stop me whenever. And obviously, I don't know if coaches are going to see this, but whoever is seeing this, don't get offended. But so coming here, I changed my game. I'm more of a passer now. That's what I like to do. I love it. But coaches are consistently telling me, "Oh, shoot the ball, shoot the ball. You got to shoot the ball." But I'm not. They go under the screen. I ain't gonna shoot the first one. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, and then maybe I'll take the shot. But it's not because I'm not confident. Which Tips is saying, as a coach, that's your job. To be positive. Hey, Dre, you can shoot it. But me as a player, I wasn't like that. And up to this day, coaches here in college still tell me the same thing: shoot the ball, shoot the ball, shoot the ball. But it's not because I'm not confident in my shot. It's just like I feel like I have the confidence. I just don't want to take the shot because I feel like it's not. It's like
I'm
I
going to
feel like
stop
it's
you
not.
right there. I'm going to stop you
Yeah.
right there.
All right, go ahead.
I disagree with that. Now, you are an extremely confident player, and you can shoot the ball better than you're giving yourself credit for. And I understand you still can have a huge impact on the game without shooting the ball, with still doing things your way. But let me ask you this. How do you know? Because you have given into this point that this is what I do and I don't have to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know? You're saying it's not a confidence issue, but how do we know that? Have you gone 0 for 5 from 3 and been able to withstand that and take a 6-1? Like, how do you know it's really not a confidence thing?
Because every time there's been games that I shoot 2, 3, maybe even 4 threes a game, like in a game, and let's say I make one, or like you said, go 0 for 4, 0 for 3, or whatever. But in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, this ain't my game, so I'm not worried about it. Like, I'm still confident. Like, I'm still gonna shoot it no matter what. Like, people, if you go under the screen, I'm gonna take the screen and I'm gonna do what I think I can do. But if you keep going under the screen, I'm gonna shoot it. And even though if I miss, like, obviously as a basketball player, you're gonna be like, damn, I missed, whatever. But you're gonna keep shooting it because I know I can shoot. I know I'm gonna be able to hit a shot at some point, if that makes sense. Like I get your point, and this is why I said maybe me is a bad example, because sometimes I'm a little too confident, but there's other players that shoot. Like, if you ain't in the ear, yo, you can shoot. You be positive, like, keep shooting, keep repping it out. Like, they can get really down in themselves. So this is why, like, I'm like, yeah, I understand your point, but there's players that they're confident, and even though they can't really shoot, they still confident, and they will shoot it like me. Like, if you go like the perfect example, if you go under the screen, I'm gonna attack, I'm gonna see if I can pass, float or layup, whatever. But then if you keep doing that, I'm gonna see that, and then I'm gonna stop and shoot a three. And even though if I miss, I'm gonna do it again. You know what I
And
mean?
real quick before, because I know Harry has a point, but as a point guard, your creation of space, right? You can create space on your own, but it helps when you have guys around you who are knocking down shots, right? It opens up the floor a little bit more.
100%.
As a point guard and generally as a leader on the teams you play on, and by position and by who you are, what are you telling guys who can shoot but or missing shots during the game, or are you not saying anything to them?
What do you mean?
So I'm
it's
a shooter.
Different. I'm gonna answer and interrupt even before he gets a
You're
chance
not
to answer.
you're not Andre Curbelo. What are you talking about?
You're answering for him, so I'm answering him. Yo,
Wait. But
his point is.
I want to know the question though. I didn't really get the question.
The question is, as a point guard, you have a teammate who's not hitting shots in the game, but you know he can hit shots. What do you say?
What do I tell them?
Or do you not say anything to him?
Oh, I do. And then, which is probably what you've been saying. I go up to them and I'm like, yo, go ahead.
It's different. Let me explain.
No, that's not the point, though.
I got us. That's not the point. It's completely different coming from your peers that are on the court with you than it is coming from the coach. It's completely different.
I was gonna
completely different.
Sometimes, like, I go up to them and it's rather what a coach would tell them. But I feel like if it comes from a player, your point guard, I don't know. I feel
how many times have you heard in life, my teammate took away my confidence? But how many times have you heard in life that my coach has taken away my confidence? So I understand. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
I think if somebody said that the coach took away their confidence, they never had no real confidence.
I agree with that. But and I'm also saying in this aspect, especially at the age that Dre's at or the age that I coach at, college age, you cannot give somebody confidence, but you do play a role and still help building that and helping them realize their confidence.
I agree with that. If you're playing college basketball, you gotta have some type of confidence. Like, you can't just be, no confident, because you got that somehow. So I feel like as a coach, like he said, like you just there, you're providing the tools, if that makes sense. You're providing the words, you're providing the support. There you go. Mm-hmm. But then it's up to you whether you want to continue with the confidence you have or use that support to keep building your confidence.
Here's the thing, though. And we should probably get back to talking about other sports at some point. But the thing that Tibbs is trying to do, where you take an awful pick in episode 2's fundamental draft in confidence, right? You take an awful pick and you try and mix it to, oh, but Andre, you're a point guard. What do you tell people when they miss shots? As if his answer is going to be, oh, well, I tell them, like, never shoot the ball again. 1. 2, it's not like, let's say Andre's my point guard. I miss 3 threes. And Andre comes up and pats on the back and says, don't worry, buddy, you got the 4th one. Suddenly I go from a not confident individual to now I have supreme confidence because Andre in one game for 5 seconds said, yo, you'll do better.
Yo, that's crazy because number one,
I'm going to walk around the street. I have so much confidence.
We all have played ball. We all have doubts creep in our head at different parts of the game or in our career. So, when you're out there, especially guys shooting wise, especially when you're out there and you're supposed to hit shots and you're not hitting shots, your teammates, you can tell if your teammates are slumping their shoulders, if their coach is slumping their shoulders, but it goes a long way when somebody comes up to you and goes, yo, we want you to take those. Hold
on.
You're going to tell me, hold on. I watched Danny Green, big New York, bro.
Here we go.
Big New York.
He's just making it his own point.
2 years, 30 million of them things, okay? Multiple champion. I watched Danny Green literally lose his confidence in the NBA Finals. Everybody making memes about him. Everybody saying all this. He can't play. Get him off the court.
I would lose my confidence if my wife got death threats sent
I watched him play and literally turn down open shots. That's for me, and watching Danny Green play since high school, that's for me that said he was in his own head. He didn't stop learning how to shoot. He still knew how to shoot the ball, but he was in his own head. I don't know what his teammates were playing, but I was saying to him, but how many times do we hear guys at the end of the game say, oh, my teammates were giving me confidence by they tell me to keep shooting. I was in a slump. They tell me that I'm that guy. Like, that stuff matters. And then what's the alternative as a teammate or a coach? As a teammate, the alternative of not saying something positive is slumping your shoulders, rolling your eyes, looking them off, and maybe not throwing them the ball because you think they're not going to hit shots. And as a coach, it's subbing them without saying anything to them. You could have subbed them because they're not playing defense. But if they miss 4 shots and you sub them, what are they going to think? You sub them because they miss shots. But if you go up to them and be like, hey, it's not the shots. You get out there, I want you to continue to keep shooting that. You got a guard on the other end. That goes a long way. And
I agree.
Everybody here who plays basketball, there's no way, like Steve, you play ball and your primary job in college was to shoot the basketball. And I'm sure you've had games where you came off the bench or came into the game and was not hitting shots. And you over there, man, am I getting subbed or whatever? And somebody's just like, yo, keep shooting that. Like, we want that. Keep shooting that thing. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, Steve already has the confidence built up, but everybody has those momentary lapses. So there's a way to build that from a young age, which is what we were doing with the Martian. But let's get back. We'll get off that. We could continue to argue about that on social media, but let's get back to the whole thing about multi-sports and specialization because you guys are ridiculous.
All right, I got something I want to throw out there. Just a broad topic that I want to piss Tibbs off with. We can talk all this, going back to the fundamentals, that we could talk all these fundamentals. We could talk about whatever you need to be good at, athletically, skill-wise, per sport, whatever. At the end of the day, literally every sport is, can you aim? If you're not going to... I mean, look, here I am pissing them off. Every sport, let me finish, is can you aim and are you athletic enough to participate? So let's think about shooting a basketball. Can you aim the ball in the hoop? Yes or no? Can you throw a football? Can I throw the ball to a target? Yes or no? Can I hit a baseball? Probably literally the hardest thing to do in the world. Can I hit a baseball? Aim. Can I hit a golf ball? Can I kick a soccer ball? At the end of the day, playing other sports will build, I guess the more scientific term would be your hand-eye coordination, right? Mm-hmm. Would it not make sense that just having a prerequisite of, if you could rate it out of 100 on the 2K scale, if my hand-eye coordination was built to an 85, that if I go play another sport that requires that same thing, I'm not going to be, at least have an opportunity to be a little more successful than someone who's never picked up sports, period? Hello?
I'm
Here's an example. Here's an example. And shout out to Frankie Scudds. Frankie Scudds is a baseball player. He is someone who is a friend of the podcast, and he has
11 zip if I play him. 11 zip.
That's fine. That's literally, again, the Tibbs thing, not the point. The thing that we're
Frankie
getting
will get a bucket on you. But
yeah, Frankie will get a bucket on you.
I will beat Frankie. I've never seen Frankie play basketball. Shout out to Frankie. But in a game to 7, I am beating him 11 zip, bro.
That's fine. That's fine.
If he starts with the ball, he'll give you a bucket.
I will beat him. Yo, if he starts with the ball and I spot him 6 points, I will beat him 11 zip.
Oh my God. All right, now we're making this happen. Besides the point. The point I'm making is Frankie was an elite pitcher. So the skill being like throwing the ball. It's not like his accuracy was in batting. He can throw a ball and hit a target from anywhere. His jump shot, if you looked at it and said, oh, will he make a lot of shots? It wasn't pretty. He under 6 foot guy bringing the ball behind his head and shooting it up here. So you would think he's not going to hit shots, but he hits more shots than your average guy. You know why? Because his aim is supreme. You're going to tell me that doesn't matter?
Are you trolling? Are you trolling right now? Yo, no. Hold on. I'm not doing these podcasts anymore. I'm not doing these podcasts anymore without a drug and COVID test. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it. Are you really trying to compare somebody throwing a baseball from 60 feet 6 inches into a mitt and somebody shooting a jump shot? Are you saying because he can aim a baseball, he aims a jump shot?
Yes. It's not about the aim. It's about what's going on in your mind. You know you can aim, so you got to aim to shoot too. So you know in your mind that if in baseball, if you can aim in baseball, you're definitely gonna make shots. Like
You know why I
100%.
know it's a thing, Tibbs? You know why I know it's a thing? And this goes back to what Diaz said. How can you tell somebody? Because Frankie literally says, yeah, I have good aim from baseball.
Oh,
What are you saying?
credibility.
How you gonna tell Frank, nah, you hit shots because you play ball? If he's telling you I am a better shooter because of baseball, how you gonna do that?
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. Actually, you know what? That might have been the dumbest thing I've heard in my life. That is
Wait,
dumb.
but how though? Like
Y'all
think
really
about
gonna
it.
hold
Think
on.
about-
Listen to what he said. Y'all gonna compare slapping a hockey puck, hitting a golf ball, aiming to hit a golf ball, aiming to slap a hockey puck, aiming to throw a baseball into a mitt, and gonna tell me that Fam has a better than average jump shot because Fam can hit a golf ball.
Here's my thing though. Here's my question for your tips. So let's say you bring from your college, right? You bring a normal student, never played sports before, and you bring Frankie. Perfect example. Tell me who's gonna hit more shots and why.
Well, if this average student from the College of Staten Island plays Warzone and has to aim all
Here
day
we go.
It's
on a
no,
computer.
no.
Yo,
It's
so
not
why? So how about on the transfers? How
but
come?
if he plays
because
2K, if he plays 2K, he might be nice, but I don't think the public's ready for that conversation.
Yo, on the transfers, how come when you take basketball players who aim for a living to aim at the hoop, how come when they go to like the driving range and they go to Top Golf, they can't aim?
There's so much
properly
more.
to-
There's so much more to the sport of basketball.
What?
Whereas, okay, like the primary thing that a pitcher does is aim. The primary thing. There's so much more to basketball.
Like, yeah.
I'm also going to go out on a limb and say, even though, and me and Diaz spoke about this before the podcast about something that JJ Redick talked about with Thierry Henry about like, oh, basketball and soccer are probably the two sports that combine the most level of athleticism and skill, which I think is true. I think those are 1 and 2. But I will say, in terms of the aiming, we probably have the easiest sport. Because football,
100%.
you're throwing a ball at a moving target with people that could murder you if they tackle you without any contest. Golf, you are hitting something the size of this with a club the size smaller than this. We could go on, but I think the aim that would transfer from basketball to another sport is way different when you take the more difficult aiming job. I don't know if that's a term. And then transfer that to basketball, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. No.
Okay. We have 3 people here disagreeing with you, and you're just saying no.
Nah, I don't know if I'm fully bought. I don't know if I'm fully bought in on. I don't know
On the aiming, yeah.
in on that. But Tibbs, can you explain your point? What is refute Harry's point?
Just the baseball thing, or just in general?
The aim.
Why can't aim transfer among sports?
Because you don't aim a basketball. Like, that's not what you're doing. You're not aiming a basketball. Like, shooting a basketball and aiming a basketball is literally like aiming is like guiding. I would say, and y'all sound like people.
You don't have to guide the ball to your spot.
There's literally a guide hand.
It's a guide hand. It's a guide hand.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're literally, y'all getting me super tight right now. Y'all sound like people that are talking about sports, and I'm not even talking about Dre. Y'all sound like people who have not played these sports before, because it is not you cannot compare. And I play baseball and I pitch baseball, and there is no correlation between pitching a baseball and shooting a jump shot.
I want to say something real quick. I feel like Tibbs is like the way he is right now because so if us that we play sports, right? I feel like we shouldn't y'all shouldn't be asking me the questions or whatever, or us asking Tibbs or Diaz or Harry the questions. Why? Because I feel like so Harry has the point, right? Because he's thinking a little different. But Tibbs is mad because he plays the sport and obviously And I think the same way. And I was about to stop you anyways and agree with you because yeah, you don't aim the basketball because we love the game. We've played the game for so long that we don't even aim. We just know how to shoot it. Like we just know. So
Yes.
I feel like the real thing here should be for the public. Put the question out there for the public that for people that don't really take the sport serious because in for us, at least for me, when I shoot, when I pitch, when I kick the ball, when I hit the golf ball with a club, I'm not thinking about all right. I'm doing the math in my head. All right, wind is 60 miles per hour
It was
left.
just
I have to
natural.
hit
It was
it this
just
hard.
natural
It's just
for you.
natural. So I feel like yeah, Harry is getting the way he is. Diaz is getting the way he is, and Tibbs is getting the way he is now because we're thinking different. So I feel like the question should be for people that don't really play the sport and take it as serious because for us, like I said, it's more of a feel and more of a all right, like I'm this far. I know how to shoot it. Like it's just based on a feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it
So
makes sense. I'm
sorry for
highly
interrupting. Go
offended.
ahead.
I'm highly offended that
I
we
just want
we
I
won
just
the
wanted to
basketball
clear that
court.
because I know as a coach, like you, I know you're pissed because it doesn't. Realistically, like if you think about it, and not disrespect to Harry's point, obviously, but it just doesn't. But it doesn't because of the way we look at the sport. It's we
Hmm.
go like we play the sport based on the feel of it, not on the real techniques and the aiming and all that. That might be for other people that don't really take the sport as serious because they're focused on the fundamentals of the sport, which is aiming, how hard to throw it, how hard to pass it in the football field, knowing the wind and all that. You know what? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
That makes a lot of sense. And before we
Are,
end,
are you feeling? Are you feeling a little better, Tips? A little bit.
yeah, I'm thankful that I have a real basketball mind finally on here to talk and appreciate the game of basketball when these guys are talking to me about how water polo is just really great for basketball. But before we end, I want to make sure because specialization in youth sports, I think, is an alarming thing, especially in youth basketball. And
Mhm.
I really think it should stop. And really specialization. And the goal for parents and kids is they're looking at college professionals, which is not a looking at college and trying to get free college and everything in the future for your kid is not a bad thing because it is statistically easier. If you're a good athlete, it's statistically easier to get money to go to college for that than it is for being smart. Because there are people who are very, very smart and still pay to go to college, a lot of money. So I understand that investment, both emotionally and financially. But specialization to me shouldn't happen in the game of basketball until you're 15, 16. So you're about sophomore in high school. There are so many things, like I spoke to earlier, from playing other sports, and then especially the overall development of a person, which goes into the game of basketball because basketball is becoming more global, more international, is becoming more different cultures, and watching Dre play in the Hoop Summit where he represented Puerto Rico, but there were guys on his team from all over the world, but it's still the same game. You have to be able to be a good teammate with those people who may have different ideals and beliefs than you. And the one thing that me playing 5 different sports growing up, and I'm thankful for, is that it provided me a life of perspective because of the different types of demographics in each sport. So because of that, and especially with things going on today in the world that people lack perspective, because I play baseball, because which is more of an expensive sport. The equipment is more expensive. The travel, the game, it's more of an expensive sport. Basketball isn't. Football, the equipment and everything's more of an expensive sport. But where I grew up at, it was very diverse in who played football. They all teach you something different. And I took all those things into the game I love the most, which is basketball. So I totally agree how baseball could help and all that. So I'm not fessing that stuff up. But I think the most important thing is kids need to develop holistically perspective. So you get to see
Mhm.
rich white kids, rich black kids, poor white kids, poor black kids with one parent, black kids with two parents, white kids with one parent, because that exists everywhere. And depending on where you live, and especially depending on the sport you play, let's face it, lacrosse right now is a predominantly white sport. So if you are somebody who is not white and you're playing lacrosse, you're probably going to be a minority, which is fine, right? But if you just play lacrosse and you're just a white person, or you're just a black person, you just play that, you're going to be around a certain type of people.
Just one thing, and that's I agree with that so much, because at least in the basketball world, everybody knows I represent Puerto Rico. I travel this and that, so that's one of the reasons I play it, because I get to see other cultures, how other countries play, how teams in the West Coast play, in the East Coast play, European teams play, how like Puerto Rico, Latin countries, Spanish speaking countries play, stuff like that. So I feel like at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, just knowing, just culture wise. I feel like that's what I take the most out of the sport, just knowing and getting to know other cultures and how other people play. So highly agree with that.
Yeah, sure. It just makes you a better person, right? Like it
on
teaches
and off
you
the court too.
On and off anything, on and off any field, court, whatever. Like it teaches you to empathize with people, right? Like if you're great at basketball but not so good at baseball, literally me as a kid, you're gonna go back on your basketball team, or when you're older and you continue to play basketball and you drop baseball, you're not going to treat the kids that suck at basketball like shit, because you were that kid in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how it would feel. You know how it feels to not be as gifted at that sport. So, and also it just prevents burnout. Like you get, if you're specializing in any sport at a young age, you're more likely going to burn out as you get older, get sick of it, or God forbid, get hurt because of overuse.
That's another reason. Just going back, so how Harry was saying, some people think because where I come from, I play soccer and all that. So another reason because I play different sports is because I don't want to get sick of basketball. If people knew, I don't think people know, but I play basketball literally, let's say September is when school starts in New York, at least. So I play from September till August, literally just nonstop. Every single month, I'm either practicing or playing. So I said, all right, I'm getting tired of the game. I'm just worn off. I don't really want to play anymore, whatever. Let's play soccer, see how it feels. In a whole different country, whole different state, New York, not too many people spoke Spanish, at least where I was, Blue High and all that. I said, all right, let me see what, I want to experience it. And I was not the only sophomore. I was just one of the sophomore on the team. And I became so close with the seniors. And shout out to them, because they, really took care of me. And I was always going up and down with them. And I feel like that's what it's all about, just playing different sports so you can, make connection with people that, not because of the sport might be big in the world, but maybe they could be your lawyer one day. They could be your personal doctor one day, if that makes any sense. So playing, different sports definitely helps, getting not only on the sports side of it, but off the court, off
on the
field,
people side,
whatever it is. Exactly, yeah.
I think the thing that I would end on for me is, you hear everything we said, over the last 45 minutes or so, and most of it was whether controversial or not, Tibbs, the benefits that you get from other sports, and some of them aren't as tangible as you might want them to be, especially if you're a parent or a kid that wants to get better at basketball, right? Like we said before, it's hard to say, if you play soccer, you're going to have bounce and you'll be able to dunk. Can't really say that, but you can say a whole bunch of other things that are a little more outside of the box in terms of earning a scholarship. But I think what turns a lot of people off to the other sports is something you guys just touched on, is you hear it all the time. Oh, I don't want to get hurt playing X, especially if it's football. but I think that's kind of something to think about is the possibility of getting hurt. Let's just be honest. It's going to happen in any, like you could get hurt at any point playing anything.
You could get hurt. You could get hurt doing anything.
Crossing the
Right.
street,
Walking.
taking a shower.
It sucks, but it can happen. Is the potential can happen of playing soccer worse than, or does that outweigh the benefits that you get from playing another sport? So I think that's something to think about, because you could replay this episode and probably hear a bunch of stuff that you could tell your kid or yourself, hey, I'll benefit from playing whatever other sport for 2 months.
And in the long run, it prevents exactly what you're saying that you don't want to happen. In the long run, if you look at the numbers, the injuries for multi-sport athletes are lower than the injuries for people who play one singular sport. But all in all, I think that was a great conversation. I think there's a bunch
100%.
of Thank you, Dre, for coming on. We'll probably have
Thank you for sure for having me. It's seeing this, I definitely was feeling to getting one of these. It was interesting. So
we're excited. We're excited to have you.
Sure.
We're excited to have you on again. And that's a wrap. And see you next episode. Peace.